This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond BMR. Hope you like that intro, courtesy of Tex. You put that together. You know, we have a conference coming up, and September 19th and 20th. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Thanks for everybody for coming on in to Beyond BMR with Krista. We have Greg Ogles coming on in. Yes, that's right. He premiered his awesome film January 4th that weekend, and down in Alabama. Thanks to everybody that showed out to that. That was awesome. And we're talking a little bit about that and some other things tonight. So thanks for coming in. If this is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe to Bigfoot Mr. Rob on YouTube, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast found on YouTube, Texas Front Porch on YouTube, Our Paranormal World with Monica Rollins on YouTube, Donnie Cho Says Stuff, Paranormal Paul, subscribe to him, Danielle Diva on YouTube, all found on YouTube. Don't forget that the super chat's open, a great way to help support what we all do around here. You can also become a BMR pirate. Join today, mateys. Thank you to Gary Spikes, who already donated 5 new pirate members. Thank you, Gary Spikes. I do appreciate that. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Last time I checked, everybody, good old BMR. I'm only 25 subscribers away from 5,000 on YouTube. So if you're in the chat room and you're new here, please subscribe. If you're listening and you're not a chatter, that's cool. You're just as important. Hit that subscribe button. Insurance purposes, I like to hit 30 because once you hit the 25, it'll always fall off. You'll be like 49.97. So I'm trying to get 30 more, even though I technically need 25 more. Thank you to First Sinfully Wicked. 5 more. We got 5 more tonight. 5 more pirates. Thank you so much to Sinfully Wicked. Before I bring up Krista really quick, I want to thank everybody for buying my books. That's right. You can find them on Amazon. Thanks to everybody that bought them over the Christmas month of December. That was awesome. Type Bigfoot Michigan Rob in your Amazon browser, leave a review and subscribe to the channel. Of course, if you have bought the book, please leave a review because it's all analytics these days. Much like YouTube, it helps promote sales of the books, much like YouTube analytics helps, promote your show to other people across the world. That's right. We're on across the world, believe that or not. It's kind of hard to believe. But with that being said, thank you to Keith for that super chat. What a great way to start the evening. 10 new pirates, $5 in the kitty. Thank you to Keith. I'm gonna bring up the lovely Krista from the Blondes and the Booze.
Hey.
What's up? How you doing, Krista?
I am fantastic, actually. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty good,
Did you get my text?
Did I get your text?
Yeah, because I didn't get a chance to tell you because you had put us backstage to go live. And so I had gotten a notification that I received an email from Jason. So I actually have I have a good poster and I put it on your thing to show everybody for the conference.
Oh, you put it on the thing already? Well, good, because
yes.
Yeah, we can do that before we bring up Mr. Ogles. Chilling out back in the black room, the green room they call it.
Mr. Ogles is part of it.
He's part of it as well. Yes. Let me see what the banner is, and I'll go right into
the very bottom one.
Very bottom one. Blah blah blah. Hang on. Oh, this is where it says main promo.
Yep.
This right here.
Yep.
Oh wow, okay. Wow, let's look at all that. I can't read that
No.
squat, but September 19th and 20th at the Crossing Realms Conference, Eagleton Civic Center, Richmond, Missouri. Our speakers, I could get this.
Want me to
Josh,
read it? I was gonna say
well,
if not.
let me try it. Let me try it.
Okay.
You know, Josh Hurd, Heather Mosier from Small Town Monsters, William Lunsford from the Falk Monster, Lady Ann Celine, Ronald Murphy, Dr. Dean Bertram, Greg Ogles, guest tonight, filmmaker and researcher, Frankie and Dan from Paranormal. What's the name?
Haunted Souls.
Yeah, it doesn't say where they're from.
Yeah, they're paranormal researchers. But they're from Haunted Souls, Haunted
They're
Garage.
from Haunted Souls, and they will be bringing a haunted garage. And my little banner's covering up, sponsored by Doug Hijack, producer, of course, of Monster Quest. We added a new speaker. Sir Brian Bowden will be joining us. Another one, Miguel Ramirez from Sasquatch Theory, also they'll be speaking. So we got some great speakers and special guests: Ken Gerhard, Dana Stricker, Brent Thomas, Ryan Edwards, Mike Familiant, Garantano, Linda Eastburn from Missouri, David Glidden, he's from Missouri.
He is. He's a friend of ours. Yep.
Hosted by Tex Weston, and of course, all of us: Brandy, Krista, Rob, Monica, Danielle, Paranormal Paul, Randy, Donnie, Jason. We'll all be there, and we're listed as, of course, as your special hosts. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And I know, Krista, that we've also sold out of our haunted. What do you call it? Our haunted.
Yeah, we sold out of the ghost time. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I am too.
About that.
What's really cool is all of the speakers are going to attend that, as well as probably the featured guests, I imagine. Yep. I mean,
and if they want to attend, they're welcome to.
And I think that's really cool that the speakers, typically speakers at conferences, after they do their spiel, they, jump out of plane, they go home. They're going to hang out with us after the conference. So that's the feather in our cap, I think. I really do.
Yep.
And also, this is also priced very, very inexpensive for people.
Especially because we've added so much to it, especially if you all get the Friday night, the meet and greet. So you will get, like, for $65, you get VIP seating, you get the Friday night meet and greet, and you get admission to the conference the whole next day. The meet and greet, now we have added things to it. So we're not only going to feed you, and you're still going to have 2 hours to mingle with all of the speakers, all of the special guests, whoever you want. And then Miguel Ramirez from Sasquatch Theory. If you haven't done so, go check out his channel on YouTube. It's Sasquatch Theory, and he's got some great videos out there. The Killing Fields, honestly, is one of my favorites. But go check that out. He's got a lot of evidence that he's gonna do a presentation on Bigfoot evidence that he's captured. And then Christopher Garetano, when we get finished with Miguel, Christopher Garetano is going to show his new film. So that's Friday night. That is all included on the meet and greet price.
That's fantastic. I mean, I'm so looking forward to this meeting everybody for the first time. Some I'm probably be meeting my second and third time. It's great. Yeah. Thanks to everybody showing up in the super chat. It's moving quite fast today, probably because of our great guests. So hello to everybody. If I missed you, not avoiding you. As you can tell, I just can't see you. It's a blur. It's a blur in the chat room. So thank you for coming on in. And with that being said, I'm going to bring up our awesome guest and friend, Mr. Ogles.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
Hello, Beamer.
Beamer. Yeah. Boy, oh, boy. Yeah, another new one.
How about Rob?
Hello. Hello, Rob. I like that. That's actually my name, but
hello, Krista.
Hello, Mr. Moist.
Hello, Mr. Moist. It was a little moist down there, I understand, for the premiere.
Actually, it was sunny and dry and
no. I knew that backstage. I just had to throw that in there.
I have to say, I even seen your credits and I love the moist.
In the credits, did you find it?
I did.
Yay.
I did. Yep, and it's dedicated to George.
It is.
Remember the story about that too? You told me about that.
All little ones are called George.
Yep. So
And
I think it's great that you did that. Honestly, I do.
Also, for everybody, you can find Greg's film on Patreon. I typed in the link. It didn't turn blue, but it's what, Greg, again? Patreon / what? You just tell everybody.
It's patreon.com/Relic Films Media. Really, all you have to do is go to Patreon and do the search of Relic Films, and it comes right up.
And we'll get into that. But this was your second film you've done, correct? Or second?
It is. It's the second one that's complete. I'm actually working on 3 and 4 simultaneously now. So, things will continue to go forward.
I have some questions about this film.
Uh-oh.
No, it's all good questions. It's what really fascinated me, and I know you wore the God's helmet before, and I know what you had saw, that kind of stuff. However, when you were at the Meadows in the beginning part of your film, and you were doing the Estes method, what I found pretty amazing, and I've never heard anybody say that, like you were seeing images. I think that's really cool because you hear it, you can hear things, obviously, but to see things, you are the first person I've ever heard talk about seeing things while doing the Estes method.
Yeah, I mean that was a really interesting session because, of course, it was the first time I'd ever done it. I didn't know what to expect, and
Really quickly, I'm sorry to interrupt. When I see this, I sometimes don't catch questions, but this is a good one for a lot of people. Keith wants to know, what's a God's helmet? I always forget. We all know what it is, but a lot of people maybe don't.
So Keith, you are coming to the conference, so you will actually get to see it in action because Terry will be there with the God's helmet. But it is a helmet, and it's got all these like red flashing lights that flash at you, and it's you wear noise canceling headphones, and all you're hearing is white noise from like a ghost meter, and so basically, no, wait, I'm getting them mixed up. I'm talking about the Estes. Back up. The lights you do have, and then it makes you like go into a meditative state where like some people like see ghosts or see through walls. If you're Greg and other people, you see aliens. So you just never know what you're going to see, if at all. Some people don't see anything. So and we can talk about that in a little bit, but let's talk about your film first, and then we can talk about the God's helmet. What you saw. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. When I first started the session, of course, I didn't know what to expect, and as it was going on, it got more and more uncomfortable because of the imagery that I do remember. The imagery, like everything was like very distorted. It was like looking through extreme heat waves at things. So things was very distorted. I remember seeing imagery of like dead babies around and lots of blood and things like that. So I got very uncomfortable doing it, but I don't remember what I said at all.
So it was you were saying like a lot of negative things, like beast and things like that. Like
there was things like Nephilim and Reaper. And,
yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And what's interesting is that we had 2 cameras rolling during that session, and at some point both cameras cut off, and so you're missing a lot of that session, which there was a whole lot more directed answers to the questions that was being asked. So I was kind of disappointed at that. However, if you look at the film again, and the portion where I'm saying stop, just stop. If you look to my right and just over my shoulder, you'll actually see a shadow person. That's the shadow person that my crewmate actually saw during the filming of it, and it was during that time the cameras both started to shut off, and he had to go physically restart the cameras. But as he was physically restarting the cameras, he kept seeing the shadow person come in, try to come in and out of me, which really freaked him out. But we were able to catch it on film, and unfortunately we didn't catch that until it was too late in the editing process to go in it and fully address it.
Yeah, wow. Interesting. I just really found that was really, really pretty cool. What do you think is there at the Meadows?
I don't know. There's definitely shadow people, because I've seen a shadow person there, and they have orb activity. Others have had Bigfoot activity, but I haven't seen any evidence of Bigfoot there. But it's just because I hadn't seen it there doesn't mean that it's not there.
Sure.
There's been UFOs been seen there, and I don't know that there's been any like aliens, themselves seen, but I do know that UFOs have been seen.
Mm-hmm.
When you real briefly, when you saw your shadow person, when I saw one, it was a huge humanoid-looking figure. When you saw this, was it humanoid in shape? Did it look like anything, or was it just wasn't a dark shadow? Was it? Did it have?
It was the top half of a humanoid figure, and it was kind of moving away from me. But I got a pretty good look at it for like 4 or 5 seconds, which I considered a pretty good look at a something like that.
Yeah.
But what's interesting was that there was lots of fog there, and the fog was about 2.5, 3 feet off the surface of the ground, and it was enough. It had enough mass to where it actually made like eddies in the fog, where it disturbed the fog. But I didn't see a lower half to the thing. I only saw like the upper half, and it didn't have a lower half, but or at least a visible lower half. So it ran. It moved across the field and went to the tree line. And when it got to the tree line, it all of a sudden, right where it went into the dark tree line, an orb appeared. Just boop, and there was an orb, and that orb stayed there for quite a while until there was another group that was just on the other side of that tree line on a trail, and there was a woman in there that got so uncomfortable from a feeling of being watched that she had to leave. She insisted on leaving, and as they started moving down the trail, with their flashlights and all, the orb started following them. So she was absolutely right. There was something watching them, and it was that shadow person thing, whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it was. Right. What's your thoughts on that? I know about shadow people, persons, or entities, I guess. Right.
Entities. Yeah. Well, let's just call them entities. I actually think there's many different kinds.
Okay.
I think there's some that vibrate just above our realm and just below our realm. And I think the ones that vibrate just below our realm are more apt to be energy vampires, try to steal our energies rather than the ones that vibrate just above our frequency. So, but I think there's just many different kinds. I don't know what kind that I saw. It was curious, whatever it saw, whatever it was.
So let's talk about orbs for a bit, because I know I was with you there at the LBL, and you show orbs in the film, and I've been out there before previously and saw orbs. So do you think colors have anything to do with them? What maybe different creatures or beings or
that's a very good question, because the most typical orb that I saw before going to the LBL was kind of a white with a blue hue.
Mhm.
And while at the LBL, I saw several different colored orbs,
Mhm.
but there was still the white with a blue hue. In the film, while we were there, those orbs were actually caught in color and on a full spectrum camera.
Yeah.
So on my Patreon page, I'm going to go back and I'm going to post the original footage.
Mhm.
But because of different, as you get as the screen gets bigger and bigger, it tends to wash out the footage. So that's why we went with black and white on it, just so that
Right.
as your screen got bigger, you could be able to see it.
Mhm.
But going back to the question, what do they mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know
I don't
either.
know. I've
I
no clue.
never dreamed in a million years, because I saw my first orb back in a haunted location. It was just
Mhm.
ghosts. There's definitely no Bigfoot or no alien in this building.
Mhm.
And, so I always assumed and associated orbs with ghosts, on the paranormal side of things. But then, I was at the LBL, it was 25 degrees out, middle of nowhere, and we were all the only people out there. And we started seeing them off. They were like surrounding us. They were different sizes, different colors. So that's where I'm like, okay, why, this is this on the ghost level? Is this, some of these creatures maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I do have a bit of a theory as to why you see them more in the wintertime.
Mhm.
And I think it's more of a scientific reason. The absolute humidity decreases as the temperature decreases,
Mhm.
and you get the air dries out, so you get a bigger buildup of static electricity, right? It's like when you walk through your house and you rub your feet on the carpet or whatever and touch the doorknob, pow, get shocked. Well, that happens more in the wintertime.
Mhm.
So likewise, in the wintertime, I think that they're able to use that excess static electricity to be able to manifest
Mhm.
into the orbs, whatever they are.
Sure.
So, but it's curious as to what they are, because it's not just to me. I think it's a definite that they're either intelligent themselves or under intelligent control.
Yeah.
Mhm. I believe in that. I was talking to some gentleman some time ago, and we were talking about orbs, but he was more into the ufology and the alien aspect of
Mhm.
things, and he believes one of his theories. Now, I personally, good old BMR, I can associate orbs with anything, and I think intelligence is a great word because I think that I can associate them. We've all heard the stories of an orbs flashing in the wood line, then a person might see a Bigfoot. They
Hmm.
might see a dog man. They might see a UFO, all of a
Ghosts.
sudden, flutter across the
Mhm.
galaxy or across the
Hmm.
top of the trees for that matter.
They're very much so associated with each other.
Yeah.
Yes. And this guy that I found intriguing was telling me that he thinks that orbs are actually they're come down from a spacecraft. He said mothership. Now, when I think mothership, I'm thinking a colony of aliens in a town, like Star Wars type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he says they send them down and they're in like this gelatin form or this synthetic form, and they're actually commandeered by aliens, and they're just out doing searching about our planet and our woods. And I guess I could buy that, but I'm thinking I think that aliens are really super intelligent, probably more advanced than we are. And I'm like, why would they need to do that? They can probably get that information from their craft. But that was a theory he had, but I did find it to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I don't particularly subscribe to that, but um, you know, everybody has a theory, and
Mhm.
I wouldn't say 100% it's wrong, but
Right.
I've seen them like very, very up close.
Okay.
And I've seen them like they're like very playful sometimes. You know, they'll come through. And they've buzzed us. They've buzzed me twice in my life. When I say buzz me, I mean within arm's length, and both times, you know, I saw them appear and come toward me and then disappear, right? And you know, I hadn't seen any alien craft or anything associated with that. Now, that's not to say that in other types of orbs that might be true, right? Because I do think that there's lots and lots of different types of luminous phenomena that's out there. You know, and I'm just calling luminous phenomena orbs because, you know, it's easier to say.
Right.
But some of these orbs other people see are just like huge. They're gigantic, you know. And what I mean by gigantic, you know, beach ball size. Or
that's what I saw my very first time when I went to the LBL. It was a reddish orange beach ball size.
And all of the ones that I personally have seen have been fist size. They've been about this size. So softball size, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I have been with. There's another group that I do some studies with, that they saw some interactions with orbs that was not of the kind that I see.
Okay.
And that actually may have been alien related.
Wow.
You know what they were doing, but as they described them. So, just from what I have seen, I don't think that they're aliens so much. You know, they may be interdimensional beings, or there might be Bigfoot that turns into an orb. But you know, at this point, who knows?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Who knows?
Who knows?
When I heard that theory, I was like, when that's the first time I had heard it, I'm much like you. I don't know that I subscribe to it because it's, well, for one, it's the first time I've heard it. I think when we all go back and talk about these things, it's more about the commonalities. We've all heard about Bigfoot associated with orbs.
Yeah.
To an extent, you know, Dogman. And to an extent, though, we've heard about UFO craft make an appearance. I do think this, though, if you see an actual orb out there, have your eyes open for some other unusual phenomena.
Yep.
That's the thing.
You know, they're definitely associated with each other, but what is that association? That's what I tried to figure out in this film, but I just was left with more questions because you know we saw the heck out of orbs up there at the LBL. You know, that one night they just showed off. You know, they were everywhere, but it was so freaking cold we had to leave.
And I will tell you this, BMR, it was the same place I took you to the LBL.
It was.
Yeah. It was. Well, yeah, Krista took me there, and and I will say this, and I've said this maybe 2 or 3 times on the show. I'm not saying this just to say it because of the legendary LBL, because I've been through many forests in my lifetime, and so I'm like all excited to go. So I know a lot of adrenaline. You know, I had a lot of adrenaline because Krista's pointing out the bridge and this, that, and the other, and all these. She's just pointing all over, and we're just driving through. Then we stop and we get out of the car. Now, I did have adrenaline going. So when I first get out, I'm like, my head is on a swivel. Then the first thing she says to me is, you know, we're walking on unalive people. I'm like, what? Yeah, so we're traipsing through the cemetery, of course. And then a few minutes later, I got this feeling, a weird feeling just overtook me. And I'm not saying that because to be entertaining or nothing. I legitimately felt differently than any other area I've ever been in. You know, I really genuinely did. After I took a breath, adrenaline's gone. I get it. Not my first time in the graveyard, you know, so I just pulled it together a little bit. And as I started taking pictures and some video, I got a little bit of an ominous feeling, I might say. And again, for everyone listening, I'm not making that up. I did. And then we talked about it on the way back. And she's like, well, yeah. I mean, she says she gets the feeling too, Krista, correct? A little bit sometimes. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Was it daytime when you went there?
It was.
And that's the thing, too, though. Right. It was daytime, but this section we drove up in, man, the trees kind of
Greg knows the section. He was there.
Man. Well, so the sun
I
wasn't really. It was almost
Martin
like
Groves is in chat too. He knows
Hi,
the area.
yeah, it was kind of
Mhm.
like the sun was out. It was like 1 in the afternoon, probably, Krista, but it
Mhm.
was very dimly lit inside where we were.
Yeah.
You know, if you wouldn't have known any better,
Lot
you'd
of
have thought it
trees
was dusky dawn because of the
Mhm.
trees.
Mhm.
But I felt like kind of weird. I did feel kind of strange for sure.
Well, that's where the orb. That's where we caught the orbs.
Mhm.
You know, and they just showed out, and of course, it was pretty late at night when we went there, though.
It was
Uh,
well, and what was really interesting. So we stopped in there, and then there were several that was walking around the cemetery, like investigating the cemetery. But
mhm.
there were several of us that was over there watching the woods, like down
Mhm.
towards the pathway
Yeah,
there.
that was the night that I actually saw that portal there.
It was, yeah.
Mhm.
And I believe Kathy also saw that.
She did.
And
She
you
did.
saw you guys saw a portal.
I did.
I did.
Oh my
Uh,
lord!
and you know, that was the first night there, and when I looked into it, when you see some of these strange things, sometimes you're at a loss for words.
Sure.
You don't want to talk about it because you don't know what it is that you saw.
Mhm.
You know, I thought I was still prepared for everything because I've seen a ton of crap,
Yeah.
but I saw the light source in there, and I was like, hey, that's a little bit different. So I could see the light, but I couldn't see the source of the light. So I moved around to where I could see the source, and there it was. Plain as day. It was a rectangular light box. Or just but it was very 2-dimensional, and where looking into it was like looking into the sun, into sunlight. So wherever it was daylight there.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you actually had a
Yeah.
chance to look into it?
Yes, absolutely, I did.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And that's why I was so stunned, because where I was looking into, and I don't know if it was on another world or the other side of our world, wherever it was daylight,
Sure. Mhm.
and it was very dark where we were,
Mhm.
and then I think somebody shined a flashlight on one of the gravestones or something, and because I remember this little flash,
Mhm.
and then the portal was just zoop, it was just gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you had told everybody to turn off their lights.
Turn off the lights, yeah, because
Yeah.
and every time I've shined a light on the orb, they've disappeared.
Mhm.
Every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it was quite interesting actually because we were seeing them. They were all in the one area, but however they were moving around,
Mm-hmm.
in those woods.
They
And they
were.
were different colors.
Yep, I saw some green ones. I saw
Mhm.
some like yellowy,
White ones.
yeah,
Gold
some white
ones.
ones. Yeah,
Mhm.
gold. I guess gold would be a better
Yeah.
description of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, there were different colors in there. So what to think about that, I don't know.
I saw Martin Groves out, and hi Martin, he's out in the chat room, and
Hello, Martin.
and we've I've got both Martin's. I got 2 of Martin's books that I've read, and I've got yes, and I've also we've all heard the story of the tragedy that took place with the family, right, and the hunter and all that, right.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I was just reading in chat briefly, hello to everybody in chat. If I didn't say hi, there's so many of you. Hello to everybody. Thanks for coming in. If you're new, please subscribe. Give a like, thumbs up, whatever. But there's where I was in the cemetery and now, and Krista told me this, and Martin brought it up again. There are layers of cemeteries throughout the LBL, and I'm wondering if Greg, maybe Krista, not including what Martin came across, not including the original story that I very first heard. I'm wondering if there's any history that dates even back in the 1940s or 50s, because we know that land was taken over.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
The people were kicked out by one of the associations, governmental association, correctly, and that's why we have a lot of these ruins there that are just left. There's a building still standing there. I'm wondering if any tragedy struck during the early 1900s, which maybe encompasses a lot of these cemetery plots and why you always get that dark feeling a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could very well be. You know, there's even a cemetery in the water. When the water's low, you can see the headstones.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm. So, like, literally, like, there's like town underneath the water, you know, that they dammed up, and it's quite sad. They push these people out, you know. I mean, Greg's film, he tells you all about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the film even more, but, you know, we go all over the place. It's kind of a nice build up to, of course, the awesome film found on Patreon.
Yep.
Patreon. So, Greg.
Yes, sir.
I know you've done a lot of research. I mean, looking into things, studying things. Have you heard of any other high strangers that took place prior to the original stories that you do know about? Come across any legend, myth, lore, anything that might be a suspected dog man or some other entity?
Where at?
In the LBL over there.
Oh, in the LBL.
You know, we know about the original story. You know, the few of them that we all know, that the classics that we hear every day. In your research prior to the 1900s, full of murders, sightings, and the hairy man. Okay.
Yeah. I tried to go back and catch some of the Indian stories.
Yes.
You know, that's what fascinated me the most. And I can't remember the names of the of their folklore, but it from their descriptions seemed like hairy man, Bigfoot, and there was something in there that was kind of reminiscent of Spearfinger. So they were scared of some sort of witch or something a long time ago, and they said it. You know, the land was cursed, or that area was cursed for some reason. So you know, even dating back before the revolution, there were stories of odd things happening there.
Yep, I agree.
Well, we all like odd things. That's
why we're here.
That's why we do this, and so does everybody in the chat, and also our other viewers that are out there. What was your inspiration to start to do this film?
To the LBL,
the second one, yes.
Because
we're talking about that you debuted January 4th, which I missed out on in Alabama.
You had to come see it. It was fantastic on the big screen. I'm telling you, it was nice. But when I did the first film, I started saying a whole bunch of weird stuff that was not Bigfoot, right? You know, the orbs, the missing time, disembodied voices, just you know, weird stuff. You know, I was like, hey, I'm here for Bigfoot, and
sorry,
exactly,
dang dog.
But you know, I wanted to find out more about what that stuff was. And that was the whole real inspiration behind doing another film, because I wanted to explore more of the weirdness that's out there, because honestly, we cut out a lot in the first film, and we didn't even talk about some of this strange weirdness that we encountered, because we just felt it was just, at the time, we felt it was just so out there, so outlandish that people wouldn't believe it. So that had an impact on the Downy Booger for sure. But I didn't want to leave it alone. You know, I wanted to continue pressing it. I wanted to find out, you know, what it was, particularly after I started checking around with other people and finding out that other people have experienced some of the same things we did. I'm like, okay, well, what am I experiencing here? And to my knowledge, I'd never seen an orb on TV before. You know, like, I've seen pictures of dust that a lot of people think's orbs, but I hadn't seen the orbs that I had seen. You know, So that was it was just my inspiration to find out more about what's there and to show people that there's more out there than just Bigfoot or Dogman or
Mhm.
uh, you know, there's some real backing behind a lot of these legends, this old folklore, you know, this ancient folklore. I mean, there's something to it.
Mhm. I wholeheartedly agree.
Hmm.
I for sure think there is, and it goes back. I mean, I cannot. When I read about the ancient folklore, especially from First Nations, I know, I know that they're experiencing things out there. Right? I know that this is just not being made up by all these
Hmm.
different nations throughout our world here, just here in the north, right,
Hmm.
or in the North America. What can you tell? I know that not everyone's seen the film. I know it's debuted and it's out on Patreon. So, what are the things in the film that people maybe can expect to see that you might not, but you might want to divulge to them to kind of entice
It,
them a little bit?
well, it's okay. I don't mind talking about it at all. I'll talk about the whole thing. I can talk about it, but unless you see it, you know,
It doesn't make
it
sense. So you
doesn't
put
do.
it together.
Yeah, yeah, you got to
You know,
see it.
you
But
know, even the trailer is
mhm.
fantastic. I'm like, I
Yeah.
mean, that enticed me to want to.
Well, it starts out on some of our older investigations that we kind of went out on our own again. And, you know, we kept getting some of the same stuff. It starts out with rocks being thrown at me or at us. And I pull out my psionics camera, my full spectrum camera. And uh, you can see these eyes sitting there just staring at us. And you know, from the direction that the rock was thrown. And it goes from there. And we go another night of investigation. And I have got my glow sticks out, and I put up a glow stick, and sure enough, you see something standing beside the glow stick. It's a very full moon, and the full moon is out, and unfortunately, it was setting behind the subject. And I guess I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but it backlit the subject and is perfectly silhouetted, and it's just really eerie because it's standing there looking at us. I wish it would have front lit it, but it didn't.
Mhm.
Um, then it goes from there. I meet up with Trey, and you know we explore the uh, the high strangeness of the meadow,
Oh yeah,
and
the Meadow
in the meadow,
Project.
there's all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, we had a lot of trouble there with batteries and whatnot. You know, battery drain,
That's
equipment. Just
typical, I hear too.
yeah, yeah. It was just so weird there. You know,
Mhm.
if you look really hard, you'll be able to see a shadow person in there. And
I'll have to go back and look again because when I was watching, I
Mhm.
was actually cooking. So
Yeah, yeah. Go back and look at some of that stuff real close. And
okay.
you'll be able to see some of the stuff that we actually catch. And I'm like, holy crap, it's there. Because I didn't know whether or not to believe the camera guy or not. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I was like, okay, shadow person trying to jump into me. Okay,
Well,
well, sure enough, it's there.
Mhm.
I
It's
got it.
there.
I have to say this though.
I have to say something really quick. That
Go
message
ahead.
is
Go
from
ahead.
Greg, and Greg gets that, I'm sure. Can you read that, Greg?
Yes, yes. Is that my wonderful friend Kathy?
That's Aaron.
Oh, that's Aaron. Okay,
Yeah.
Aaron. Okay,
Yeah. That's an inside joke, everybody.
it is. It is. Mm, too
Hmm.
funny. Then,
Yeah.
so we'll go from the meadow and over to the LBL, where we stop off at the Casey Jones Distillery. And it's a fascinating little place, got some history to
Mhm.
itself. And the staff there was fully knowledgeable about some of the history there at the LBL. So they give us some stories.
Mhm.
And we could jump from there straight into some of our investigations there at the LBL.
Yeah.
And you know, it starts off right off the bat with the encounter, just
Mhm.
boom, you know,
Yeah.
there it is. And I tell you, that was an intense time, very intense.
Yep.
You know it, and I want to tell you the audience this too. When you're, if you're, if you get the film and you're watching that encounter, watch it very closely, because I've had multiple people come up to me and say, "Hey, did you see that thing crawling all while you guys were filming during that encounter?" Now, I hadn't seen it, but then again, I've only been seeing things on like a small screen, and this was on the biggest screens you can get, right? And they said, like I said, there was multiple people that come up and said that, and I actually did catch the eyes of the Bigfoot in front of the truck. I did catch them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it on the big screen, and when we did, and you can, and you can hear them growl and everything. You have just heard the audience just go, they just gasp when this thing starts growling.
Awesome.
That was
multiple times. It growls multiple times. Multiple times. Yeah.
So that was absolutely fantastic. And then we transition over into a ghost hunt with the Blondes and Booze girls.
Yes.
So
before we get into the little thing with the Blondes and the Booze, you know what, I do want to say this to everybody, and what I'm getting from you, Greg, which is what I love. And I will say this: I do watch documentaries on all these subjects and films, and there's a couple that. And when I say this to everybody listening, I'm not being negative at all about these other films or documentaries. You'll read what it's all about. Watch us as we capture the Bigfoot or whatever the particular doc is. And again, these people put in hours of work. I know they put in hard labor, intensified, grueling days out in the field. And listen, I respect them, and hats off to them. But, and then I'm waiting just for that aha moment. Just give me a glimpse of anything, and you just don't get it, and you just don't see it. So it leaves you a little, there was 90 minutes that I could have done something else perhaps. But it sounds like throughout this, Greg, it seems like you've caught quite a few things throughout this that you did catch, that you caught during editing, your editor, and put it together. So I can't wait to watch this, because it sounds like it's packed with a lot of really cool stuff.
It is. It's jam packed from the very beginning.
Okay.
It is.
It starts off with a bang and ends that way. Really.
Yeah.
There's a few moments where you can catch your breath there throughout the middle of the film, but it's chock full of stuff. And like when, for instance, when we were doing the ghost hunt, I didn't know. The girls had their recorders looking for EVPs, right? Well, it didn't really dawn on me that I was going to catch EVPs on the camera, on the audio.
Yeah.
That's what happened. We ended up catching EVPs on the audio of the camera, which was
we
really
were in one of the abandoned houses there.
And I was like, "Wow, I'm using this."
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it's we actually caught more than what I had anticipated right there, or thought. We caught more than I thought, which really should surprise me. It always happens that way,
right?
It always does. And on the last night that we were there at the LBL, we sort of, because the first time we went to the location that Mr. Martin took us, it was so intense, we decided to have more of a game plan, right? So we put a game plan together so that it wouldn't be so dangerous. But Adam had theorized that they would, or he had hypothesized that they would do something different. They would act differently the time that we went back. And sure enough, when we went back that second time, they were very standoffish. They were there, but very standoffish. Things that we didn't show in the film there, and you know, and I may bring it back up on the Patreon page, is that you know there was eye shine shown that last. I call it eye shine. It's more eye glow, but there was eye glow that we did catch, but it was further off into the woods. You know, they didn't come up close that night at all. But it was just as he had predicted. You know, they were different that night.
Yeah. And, you know, to touch back on the action-packed night that y'all had. So I was not with you guys. I was tired. I was exhausted. I went to bed. Well, that next morning I got up and he and I was talking, and he was still freaked out about what happened the night before. So when you watch that, like, that is legit. Like, he was, you know, legitimately scared, and honestly he had every reason to be, because I've been just like
you did.
I mean, you know, that's, you know, I mean, that's, you don't know what you were facing at that time. You know, it was all in the heat of the moment, I think. And I could see where that could happen even to myself, you know?
Yeah. You know, when these things growl at you, they, you can feel it. You can feel all of your insides vibrate when they do that. And it sends some sort of fight or flight. It gives you that fight or flight response.
Fight or flight response. Yeah.
Yeah. And his response was flight. You know, I physically had to grab a hold of him. Thank God I did. Yeah. There's no telling what would have happened.
Yeah.
You know, if he would have running off into the woods or wherever. I mean, I don't know where the heck he was going to go. You know, but there's no telling what would have happened.
No.
I mean, no, you don't know. And I often wondered, because, as you know, remember, Greg, from what happened to me when I was on the water 90 feet away, when I seen that Bigfoot, or whatever you want to call it, still to this day was, man, when he growled and yelled and roared all in unison, and everybody, if you're new here, I seen one. It vocalized at me. It yelled, roared, screamed all in unison. It was this huge being that metamorphosed into like a demon-looking thing, which I don't think it was a demon, but that's how I tell always the story. And I had the fight or flight instinct, but what happened to me is I could feel the reverberation hit my body, right? And then my girlfriend fell off the boat into the water, man. And I wanted to go, but I have to get her in, right? But I was paralyzed and I couldn't move for a few seconds. I snapped out of it, got her in. I looked, things gone. I take off, but I instantly was ready to. Even though I was on land, he was on land, and I was on water. I still was petrified, especially after. People don't understand when you see something that big for the first. It's not supposed to exist. 9 foot tall, 4 foot wide. That's one humongous being, entity, whatever you want to call it. It's something that the mind doesn't allow you to process. You don't know what you're seeing.
You're exactly right. Even if you've been doing this a while and you see one, you still can't process it because you know it's not supposed to exist or whatever. You know, and you know you still. And just like you, I was stunned. You know, I don't know how long it was. It seemed like an eternity. Which
it did for me. It did.
You know, in reality, it was probably just a couple of seconds.
Yep, in reality.
But it seemed like an eternity, and you know, I didn't talk much about it. You know, that weekend. I didn't talk about seeing the portal, but until you start, you have to process it, right? I think I did talk about seeing the Bigfoot a little bit, but not right away. not right away. But it's there, and you can see the eyes in front of the truck. I didn't think I caught it, but I did. So I was super stoked. in the film, when I sat right next to Adam, and when Adam and I both saw the eyes at the same time, and we're like, "There it is!" And we gave a high five to each other. We got it. But yeah, the oh gosh, watching it in the theater was just such a blast.
Yeah.
An absolute blast. I can't describe the difference in just the sound
Sure.
that the theater is going to make. So
Yeah.
if you've got some deep bass that you can hook up to your computer or TV, whatever.
Oh no, I guess I got my when I do it, I put it on my TV because I have a 60-inch flat screen with a soundboard.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make sure I'll adjust it to high bass.
Yeah,
Low treble, high bass.
Yeah, please do, and you'll hear those growls, and you're like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah. And Martin's right here on this, because I remember Brent telling me the same thing at BMR. Brent told everyone the next day he became a believer of the hairy man that night. That's true. He did, because he said he was down.
Okay.
He did. He told me the same thing.
Well, I could have slapped him for that night, but
you know what though? You don't know how you don't know how you're going to react to something like that.
I'm not talking about the reaction for him saying that he didn't believe until then. I'm like, dude, we've seen lots of stuff. I mean, maybe he didn't believe what he was seeing all that time, but we've seen a lot of stuff.
Well, maybe it was a difference when you feel your life is on the line, type thing, and it's like, holy cow, and you don't know what's out there. Maybe it's a little different. Who knows? Who knows what he was thinking? But you guys did a fantastic job. You all did. You and Brent and Janice too. Yeah, for sure.
So when you put this all together, how many people did you have filming? How many total? What was your crew?
3.
Okay. I know you told me it was pretty light. You did most of the work yourself, so that was cameraman, yourself, and
it is me, Brent, and Janice.
Janice and Brent was doing the cam.
Now, so coming up on the future films, I'll be bringing in more people. Fisher of Spam is going to be joining me.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, he's going to be joining me. As camera guy and possibly personality. Some others close around are going to be joining as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a different crew, moving forward.
Well, it's nice to have.
Great.
Go ahead, Krista. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm sure it'll still be great. Be fantastic.
Oh, it's still going to be fantastic. It doesn't matter who hits the record button.
That's right.
You're still recording stuff, and Brent's probably going to take a little time off from the film, because this one kind of freaked him out a little bit doing some of that, and even during the editing process, we skipped some things. We just didn't catch some things because I'm sure it was very difficult for him. I guess you would call it PTSD. We would be bringing back those same feelings when you're sitting there watching it over and over again. So it's hard to edit when you've got some of those feelings like that.
Yeah.
So he's going to take a little time off.
Yeah, I can't blame him. Really can't.
Oh, I can't either.
Yep. Well, he done a good job on the 2 films that he has done with you.
He did. He did a fantastic job.
Yep.
I also think it's cool too to bring other people in, different people, of course, that can have the opportunity to maybe experience something for the first time. Because after hearing this, it's like, who would not want to be on board with your next project?
Well, you'd be surprised. I've asked a few, and they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay. So actually finding good quality people is a little harder than you would expect, but I think I have found some.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Well, I definitely look forward to your future films, and will this one also be sold at Walmart?
Right. I mean, in the future it may be, but right now I'm selling everything off of Patreon. You'll be able to find your DVDs. You'll be able to buy them off of the Patreon side as well. If you don't like or if you're more traditional, so to speak, you'll be able to buy it off of the download or whatever off of Patreon. So you'll be able to see it from there.
How soon before you'll have about on DVD? Because
This week.
I want a signed copy from you.
Yeah.
I want to order a signed copy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I do too. Chris, my mom's blowing up my phone, but yeah, continue. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it'll be this week before I can get DVDs up and going.
Cool.
But DVDs will be ready by the end. Should be by the end of the week, I hope. As we speak right now, I'm actually converting an MP4 of the film over to TS file, which is required for the DVD. So that's the final step that I have to do, and then upload it for the company to be able to make them.
Cool. Very cool. I know. You said you had other films coming up too, and we can talk about those in a minute. But real quick, I want to go back to the LBL because I know you and I had talked after that. It wasn't too long after that. You went back to the LBL to film some more, but what happened?
Yeah. When I got back up to the LBL the second time, I was filming with some other people. I'll go ahead and mention them: Robbie Raines and D.A. Roberts. So we were there filming, and sure enough, we had some good activity going on up there. And I was excited to be able to expand the film with these guys. And when I got back home, I was completely by myself this time, filming it completely by myself. And when I got back home, I started seeing all of my footage was corrupted. They would be, I would say, probably 60% of the footage was corrupted, and I was furious because it seems like as soon as we came up on either seeing orbs or weird sounds, or we actually saw some eyes there, some like eye shine that was fantastic. All of that was corrupted. You couldn't. I mean, either it just stopped playing, or these weird, crazy lines would come up. It was just a completely unusable material. And, I was a bit furious about that because that was an expensive trip for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really
that's what, I guess my point being on that too, because, I mean, mine wasn't nearly as what yours was, but, doing EVPs and on the recorder and then going to listen to it and there's nothing there. So my point being, that's one of the odd things about that place,
But, we've had a lot of that happen everywhere that we're doing this boogery stuff. So you would think would come to expect that happening, right? But it's not to the extent that it happened there at the LBL. The second trip, the first trip was flawless. Yeah, it went flawlessly, and that's why I didn't hesitate to go back up there again.
Sure.
There's a question: did I have Noah with me? I don't know who Noah is.
It's DA's kid.
Oh no. Nope. But anyway, that's why I didn't hesitate for the second time to go back up there. I was like, well, maybe that's a interference-free zone, but it's not. It's just as much interference. Right? Actually, it made up for the lack of interference the first time around.
Right.
So I didn't get to use the interviews. I didn't get to use the footage from our walkabout. Didn't get to use any of it. I was
Wow.
very frustrated with it.
Yeah, I can imagine. So what do you? I know you've got some stuff coming up. What do you? And
Yeah.
what other things outside of the LBL you're looking at?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I'm real excited about some of the stuff we got coming up. I'm going to concentrate on some missing people in Southeast Tennessee, and I'm going to bring in some different sources as far as as far as looking for or investigating missing people, at least traditionally, so we're going to deploy some of those assets and find out what we can come across. Also going to do another ghost hunt on the way, so to speak, to the Cades Cove area. So got that to look forward to during the filming of this the missing people.
Is this going to be, excuse me, Greg, the missing people we talking about from the LBL or just
no, Cades Cove area in Tennessee.
Cades Cove in Tennessee? Okay.
Yeah, Cades Cove in Tennessee. And there's a cluster of missing people that's been missing in that area. So we're gonna delve into that quite a bit, and that's going to be a very interesting film. I'm also going to go out to Texas and film with Tex and crew, and I haven't decided whether or not that's going to be a standalone film or in conjunction with another. It depends on what we get. I would like for it to be a standalone and I would love to call it Monsters and Fossils.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas told us about the fossils.
Yeah, there's lots of fossils there. So I think that in itself is interesting enough.
Sure.
So I'm hoping I can get enough content while I'm there to be able to make it a standalone film. And then in the fall, I'm going to return to the LBL.
Awesome.
You bring up the missing, the missing persons 411, if you will, right? That we all are familiar with. When somebody brings it up, I always have to ask them, what do you think is I think it's a combination. What's your thoughts on the missing in general? If you look back and think about it, what do you think it comprises the missing persons?
To me, I think it's a combination of one, a human element where there's a human element out there that takes people, and for various reasons, whether or not you walk into a drug area or they're just preying on they're a trafficking society out there that hunts people in these forests. Some of it could just be they get lost and they succumb to the elements. Some of it's wild animals, and some of it I think is goes to the cryptids.
Yeah.
Some of it I think does. Yeah.
I gotta look that up. The Ghost of the Crypt. That's a good thing for me to check into. I never heard that one. That sounds really interesting. Ghosts of the Cryptids. That's actually a pretty cool name for a film.
Yeah.
But down the road, of course. If we just talk about just this film, though, Greg, because I know you've done other films and you've done other investigations, adventuring about. Just with this last experience with this film, this project, what would you say where would you lean towards most about that area or the film? More on the paranormal, supernatural side, which kind of sounds a little bit like that, but I'll just answer that one first.
It's 60-40.
the 40 meaning you still there's a physical element as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the 60-40. There's just I mean, kind of where to put all this. The LBL is such a weird place. There's I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I say in this film, I was left with more questions than I had answered, and I'm still as much confused as I was before I started.
Yeah.
But I actually have more questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if not more confused, right?
I mean, the more you know, the less you know, and that's why I love. Why we all into this, whatever media we do this, whether you're a filmmaker, podcaster, researcher.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's a never-ending story. It's a never-ending saga. It's never going to. We're never going to have disclosure on it for the most part, right?
Right.
There's always be something that's going to. Once we think we know something, thank you so much, Andrew. Once you think you know something, you don't. Not that you don't, but it confuses you. So, I mean, there's just so much into this. I don't see how anybody could be bored with this subject. I'm surprised a lot more people outside of our weirdos that follow us are into. It seems like, this is more entertaining than a politics channel. You know what I mean?
It's better than C-SPAN. I can promise you.
Talk about watching paint dry. My dad used to watch like C-SPAN. What are you doing, man? Really?
Wasting away.
God.
I want to answer one of the questions that I see from.
I was gonna say you have several questions.
Yeah, Chris, I want to pull them up.
Well, I just want to hit this one while we're on this subject. Tuna, real quick.
Sure.
He says he believes that people can sometimes take a wrong turn and disappear into the ether. Yes. If you'll see on in the Metal Project, there was this. They called it a portal. They don't know exactly what it is, but they call it a portal where people, two people, walked into this so-called portal, and as they got into it, they disappeared. They disappeared from FLIR, and they disappeared from the naked eye. And then they came out of it. But it's interesting, though, that both people, when they say they got into that portal, everything was black. It was just completely black everywhere. It's like being in a void. So if they would have stayed in that, and the portal dissipated or whatever, would they have remained in that void? So that's a question, but it's interesting to know. We pointed this out during the Q&A session after the film. Both of those people that went into that portal are now dead. They both passed away from different types of cancers.
That was talking about the Meadow, correct?
Yes. So tuna, I'm right there with you. I think people can sometimes walk into a void, and disappear.
Yeah.
I don't think it happens often, but I think it can happen. Yeah, because we saw it on film.
Yeah.
And I think too, a lot of people. We were talking about the missing persons. Yes, I believe that. You could, and I've heard certain stories where people get confused and don't know where they're at, and they've been hunting in an area for many years, and all of a sudden their surroundings totally change. I think that some people, when we talk back about the missing, I think they walk into portals. Some of these people don't even know, and that's it. They're gone.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure you're going to walk back through too often. Like happened, of course, in the Meadow. They were fortunate, but
yes.
I think 98% of the time you're probably gone forever.
Mm-hmm. It's like the one that I saw up at the LBL. Now I couldn't have walked into it because it wasn't that tall,
Okay.
but I could have crawled into it. I think if I would have entered that portal, though, I don't think I would have come back. Because, like I say, it was very, very clearly somewhere else, just like a window. You know, it was literally just like a window into somewhere else. So I don't think I would have come back. Because who's to say that the portal is to open on the other side?
That's true.
And I've always entertained the question of walking through one if I had an opportunity. I'm going to say I'm not going to do it. Even if I were to come back, because you just don't know what you're doing to your body. You don't know what.
Well, that's why I say,
Yeah.
those two people are now deceased.
Yes, correct.
They're now deceased. However, I do have a plan because I am going to Oregon in 2026.
Awesome.
I am going there with Adam Davies, where he had his portal experience, and the two little demons come out.
Uh-oh.
They like charged them and stuff as they, that went on for like 2 nights in a row, all night. So they did battle all night. So with these little demons. So I plan to take a drone with me. And if I see a portal, I'm going to fly the freaking drone into it.
Yes. You know what? You stole my thunder, man. You have a better idea than I did, because I was going to ask you. I think that drone is great. But I was thinking, do you know how, like, the CIA and the spy movies, where they take that snake or that thin wire with the camera on the end?
Yep.
And they can snake it through into an apartment or a hotel.
Take a remote control car and do it.
Yeah, I was seeing if you had one of those snakes with the camera to fit it through a portal. But now I was going to ask you about that technology, if you would consider that. But now you just want to up me the drone. If that is the way to go, as long as you want to lose $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever it costs, right?
And more than that, some of them.
Yeah, well, I would try a cheap one first.
Yeah, see if you get it back.
Yeah.
True story.
Well, that's going to be the plan, to try and fly a drone into one.
Yes.
I actually, before the show, Rob told me that you were coming on tonight. I reached out to Adam tonight to see if he wanted to hop on too. He's fighting a headache, he said.
Yeah. And Adam rarely does podcasts anymore.
Yeah, he don't do very many of them.
Yeah, he doesn't do very many podcasts anymore.
Yeah.
I can understand it.
He did ours, but it was when we were at the LBL.
Yeah.
He did live there.
Yeah. He had him
I
up,
even reached out to him last year. Hey, Rob, appreciate
Put him
you,
down.
man.
That was it.
But no, well, no hard feelings. No big deal. But thanks anyway.
Yeah, don't be offended if he says no. He's just
I wasn't at all. Hey, you know what? I've told people no, and I'm just an average dude. I mean, I don't. But I get it.
Yeah. He gets requests all the time.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
All the time. So if he did everybody's, he just wouldn't have any time.
So. I was just ripping through these questions. We already answered this one, Don. What is a shadow person? Maybe we did. Greg, really quick.
Yes.
We talked about that. Don asked, what is a shadow person? I think it's an entity, a ghost. Personally, I've seen one. That's what it reminded me of. Although it was very creepy, and I had to get it removed, actually, from my home. Your quick thought. You're kind of along that same.
Okay, I actually asked my spirit guide what that was, and they explained it to me as okay. They showed me like a ruler, right? Okay, and everybody vibrates at certain frequencies. Like there's different frequencies. Call them dimensions or densities, whatever you want to call it. And we're in the third density, third dimension, whatever. So that's about where we vibrate. And, I highlighted that part. Says, okay, this is where you are in that third dimension. You vibrate at these frequencies. These shadow people, what you see, are just people like you or entities. They're like you. They may look different or whatever, but they vibrate just above or below your your frequencies. So sometimes you're able to perceive them, and but a lot of times you can't. But it's like infrared light, right? It's there, but we can't perceive it, right? So it's the same for shadow people. They're there, we just can't perceive them. And I don't see them hanging out in our realm very long. I think they're just barely inside our realm. And
I believe some are good, some are bad, some are. I've heard reports. We've had different. I've done so many private cases over the years. I've had reports of shadow people being even like 7-8 feet tall.
Right. That's what I mean. There's different types.
Yeah. Yep.
There's
Absolutely.
different types. But think about, okay, good or bad. Okay, pretend for a minute it's hunting season. You're a deer, and from your perspective as a deer, is a hunter evil?
Right.
So right. But from the hunter's perspective, he's just eating, right? So evil is relative. It depends on your point of view. It really is. So it's hard for me to say something is evil just because it might be eating. Trying to survive.
Just because something is unknown to us, sure, it's paranormal, but it doesn't mean it's evil.
Yeah, that's right. It's hard for me to say that.
It's hard to say that word evil because you really have some trippy stuff done to you. We have a couple more questions, but really quickly because we still have 100 people in the chat room.
Oh, wow.
We've also got 439 watching. And I only need 21 more people for 5,000 subscribers. So if you are new and listening and not in chat, please subscribe. People in chat, if you're new, please subscribe. I want to hit that 5,000. I missed it on Christmas Day, which I said I wanted. But 21 is not a lot, you guys. We can bust it out tonight for the people that are watching in totality.
Yeah.
And, of course, go to the Patreon, which we have the links to be in this video, because I'm going to go watch it, tomorrow probably, but yeah. I'm going to buy that and watch that because I know it's going to be fantastic, man. It just sounds fantastic. How could you not want to buy it and watch it?
I'm a little biased, but I think it's one of the best films out there as far as the documentary on paranormal stuff.
Yeah. Normal documentaries don't capture or TV shows don't capture what you captured. So, yeah.
They don't. There's not been a sequence like we have captured ever.
Oh, man, this would be awesome.
There's not been a sequence like that.
Yeah. And Adam says right on there, like he's been all over the world and how many years he's been doing this and he's never had nothing happen to him like what happened to him at the LBO. So what does that tell you?
Yep. I'm not the only one saying it. He sait too. But there's not been a sequence like it captured anywhere.
Nope.
But it's a good view. It's very entertaining too. It's not just hey, what was that?
No, let's not celebrate. Hey, there's going to be an encounter around every corner. No, it's a story. It's a film, and it's put together, I'm sure, perfectly.
Very well.
And also really quickly, Gary Spike Sr., Simply Wicked, Keith, Obese Tuna, BMR, some dude BMR. Andrew, thank you so much for the super chats and the pirate memberships. Awesome for the gifting. And another quick question. Keith says, can orbs give you an emotional feeling, happiness, or dread? Did you experience that at all, Greg?
Yep. Absolutely, 100%. I don't know about dread, but I've had the happiness, the feeling of awe, and I've never had a negative experience with an orb. I will say that I've never had a negative experience with an orb.
And Keith also asks, he's from Michigan, by the way, and he's actually going to be on the show here in January. Keith, my buddy from Michigan. Another question. I've heard of military helicopters circling investigators at the LBL. Any experience with that?
I have not.
I haven't seen it myself either, but I know people.
I haven't. Yeah, there's been others that have, but and I do say this often, particularly into my phone, because I know they're listening. They're always listening to
Of
everybody's
course, yeah.
phone.
Yep.
Yeah, and I frequently do say if I'm ever visited by a man in black that it'll be their last visit, and it will be.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And that's enough said on that,
Yep.
because I won't be intimidated by anybody.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a story which I can't get into right now because we're almost out of time, and I got to take care of something with good old mother. Good old
Yeah,
mother.
there is one more question. Do we have time to answer that one?
Yeah, no, we have time. I can stay on. I'm not going
Okay.
to tell my story about what Greg's talking about because it'll be another hour long.
As I say, there's only one more
We
question.
can go little. Yeah, we can.
That's it.
Got
What's the
it.
other
You find
question?
it, Krista?
Yeah, I can bring it up here.
Yeah.
Barbara asks, I came in late. Have you done cemetery investigations out in the LBO?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. If you just look into the film, you'll see cemeteries everywhere in our footage in the LBO.
Mm-hmm. Brandy and I actually did. It was actually even a daytime investigation in one of the cemeteries out there. It was just the two of us, and we ended up hearing like on a recorder, we got like doors shutting. Like we're in the middle of the woods, in the middle of a cemetery. There's no doors here.
I kept hearing this strange metal sound out there too.
Yeah,
it was just weird.
I hear that too about all over strange meth. I don't know what that would be.
I don't know what that is. It's these metal sounds. Sometimes it sounds like a door. It's just weird.
It is.
It's
really
weird.
Is.
Mm-hmm.
That's extremely weird. I want everybody to go over to Patreon and check out Greg's awesome film. You can find it. I think it's probably inexpensive, right? So go check him out. I'll have the link posted in this video. And just go to what Relic Greg Ogles Relic Films on Patreon. Is that what you type in?
Well, it's patreon.com/Relic Films Media. So if you just go to Patreon and just type in Relic Films, we're the first one that pops up.
That is awesome.
It's patreon.com/Relic Films Media. That takes you straight to us.
And for most of the people, they're not going to remember that. Within about 5 or 10, after this show ends, I'll make sure that I get the link that you can click in this video if I can get it to click. We tried it earlier. I don't know about, but anyways, you guys, it's a fantastic film. And I haven't seen it, but I know it is. Because I know you're a great filmmaker, Greg.
Thank you.
I know you are.
Yep, absolutely.
And Brandy and Krista Brandy. I almost just called you Brandy again, Krista.
You always do.
No, I don't. I used to do that a while ago. What you got? Today's Tuesday, so I'll be Thursday afternoon with Tim from Ohio Bigfoot Researchers. He's coming on Tuesday. Join me in Texas at 1:00.
Cool.
And then Krista, you got something going on this Thursday?
We actually do. Tune into our show because
you actually have something going on.
We actually have another cast member from this film going to be on our show.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, we have Kristen Payton.
Oh, I love Kristen.
Now, she has some fabulous stuff.
Yes, she does.
She does, man.
As a matter of fact, she's got a great capture, and I'm not going to go into it, that I so wanted to put in the film. We just ran out of time and space. It is absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Because she does work with. She's awesome. She works with Trey Hudson, who Trey's always been on the show a handful of times as well. From, of course, the Metal Project. So this was great, Greg. I'm glad that you came on. I want to thank everybody for coming on in, tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out. Please help me hit the 5,000. For those of you that have not subbed, sub to the Belongs and the Booze Paranormal Podcast, Texas Front Porch, Donnie Cho Says Stuff, Our Paranormal World, Monica Rallis, Paranormal Paul, and Daniel Diva. 21 away in county, you guys. And thanks once again to Greg. Go check him out on Patreon. And with that being said, I've got find the exit but I've got a cool exit. Stick around because the exit's kind of cool. It's actually promoting all of us and, of course, our little project conference we got going on here. Here we go. See you, Krista, Greg, everybody in chat.
Good night.
And that's the wrong one. Where is it now?
Do you need help?
No, I think I got it somewhere in here. Here it is.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.